Hello, everyone. It's Achusi Kanku from Esports Africa News. And as usual, always bringing you interesting conversations from across the continent. This particular version is supported by Extreme Esports. Extreme Esports are one of the growing esports teams in Ghana. They participate in a lot of fighting FC games in Ghana and across the continent. So if you want to collaborate with them, engage with them, follow their social media links, and it's Extreme Esports. I've put it up on the screen for you to, tag along with them. But yeah, straight into the conversation for today. I mean, every day I say when I meet my fellow Nigerians, I like to present my Nigerian name. So though I say I'm Achusi Kanku, today I am Chinedu Kanu. So my name is Chinedu Kanu. So I'm going to be talking to a special guest from Nigeria. He's been in and around the whole ecosystem. So first, introduce yourself, and then we can start with the conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Chinedu Kano. Yeah, my name is Ikechuku Okoye. Like you know, I'm a board member of the Esports Federation of Nigeria, and it's good to be here to meet up with Chinedu again.
No, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think with that introduction, we'll go straight to that conversation.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you and the team at Nigerian Esports Federation for what you've done, and because you have all come together to form one federation. Many African nations are struggling with that. We've got two or three federations, associations, or whatever organization in the country. How did you manage to do that?
Yeah, it took a lot of sacrifice from all the stakeholders, and it didn't come easy. It took years, years of hard work and, negotiations, discussions, and the fights were always there, but at some point we just knew that we needed to come together as a federation if we are going to benefit, from, the scale of global esports. We needed to actually be a leading light to other African countries, just like you mentioned. I mean, if we are at war, you can imagine what other countries, what be happening there. In fact, during that time, when I get into conversations with brothers from other African countries, they're like, "Oh, we are looking up to Nigeria. You guys need to put your house in order so we can follow suit." Those kind of things. So they were really looking up to us to actually come through. And so last year, were officially inaugurated. So all the stakeholders have to put their personal differences aside for the common good, and then we came together to form a federation, which is now what we call today as Esports Federation of Nigeria. So we got the support of the government for that because it takes the government's interest. The current National Sport Commission, as is now recognized, the chairman and the director general, were actually very supportive and helped us to, scale the hurdles, and here we are today.
No, that's interesting. And you were very frank to say there's a lot of sacrifices. Is that what we're missing in the other African countries? That people are not able to put behind their personal differences to grow for the betterment of an organization?
Yeah, I think so. I think once we put our egos aside, I believe, and for the greater good. I mean, like I always tell, I speak to a lot of the stakeholders in different African countries. We have frank conversations about the issues they have, and I say, okay, why don't you guys just put aside? I understand you've invested, 20 years in the ecosystem. Yes, I understand, but for the greater good, for the future of where we're going to. I mean, look at what esports today. You can imagine what it will be in 5 years. So it will be far bigger there'll be a bigger pie for everybody to share from. So why, destroy it with this, fight today and actually stunts the development of esports in your country. So I think leaders should learn to actually put aside their ego, for a while at least, for the common good of all, because everybody, including the leader himself, will benefit. So I think that's it.
Yeah, and I think, did you say Nigeria did it good enough for them to benefit from this Esports World Cup and all the other events that are happening? Because you've got Esports World Cup, FIFA E, Morocco, Esports Nations Cup, Evo in France,
Mhm.
because this year is so busy,
Yeah.
and I think Nigeria is leading the way now.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're now seeing the benefits of having a united front. So in fact, we actually entered into the bidding process for the ENC 2028, right? Yeah, sure.
Wow,
So that tells you what the power of a federation, right? Because it takes a
wow,
federation with the support of the government to be able to deliver such a massive project.
yeah.
In the workshop, they told us that look, there are over 30 cities competing for this. You understand? So that's about the scale of what is achievable if the stakeholders in the country decide to come together and speak with one
Mm.
voice. So yeah, so a lot is going on in terms of competitions for the several events. We our team were in the competition for the Valorant for ENC in South
Yeah.
Africa. They did very well. I mean, the guy who runs the Valorant team in South Africa at one of the universities who was there, he was giving me updates, telling me about, oh, you guys, your team is super, that kind of thing. So yeah, assuming we didn't come together as a federation, I doubt we'll be able to make such impressive. But we are looking at next year. Will actually be better. That's what I think. So, we have a national election in January, so you can
Okay.
imagine what is going on in
Um,
the country today. Yeah. So
No,
after the
that's
election,
really, really interesting.
yeah. So, so yeah. So that's it. And we also have the National Sports Festival, which is more
Yeah.
like the biggest sporting event in Nigeria. It's going to happen
Mm.
in November, right?
Okay, I didn't know that. National Sports Festival. I'll write that down.
Yeah, yeah. We did the demo of
Mm.
esports at the National Sports Festival last year, so we're going to
Okay.
repeat the second demo this year. After which,
Mm.
esports becomes a medal event at the National Sports Festival, which is the biggest sporting event in Nigeria. So these are some of the things we've been able to achieve as a federation. If we weren't a
That's
federation,
yeah.
there's no way we would have been able to make impact at the national scale. Because if you go to for example, you can't get into National Sports Festival if you're not a federation, right?
Mm. Mm.
So we now get invitations to the places we had gone in the past where they said we're not interested because they see down it's a government federation. For example, we had a discussion with the National Universities Commission, which is more like the
Mm.
governing body for universities in Nigeria, and we're already discussing esports as elective course in universities. I mean, we are looking for ways
Mm.
how we can integrate
Esports
esports.
education. Yeah.
Yes, integrate esports into the Nigerian university curriculum, all with the support of the federation and the government. So these are the kind of benefits you get if you have a federation, that is recognized by the nation. So yeah,
No, I'm really, really proud of the team so far. I mean, talk
yeah.
about the National Sports Festival in November. Do you have the dates there and which city is that going to happen?
Okay. It's going to happen in Enugu, right? In Enugu
Enugu.
State.
Okay.
Enugu,
Okay. Enugu
Enugu is in
State.
southeast Nigeria, but we're still waiting for the actual
Okay.
dates. Yeah.
No, no, that's great. I mean, I'm really impressed with this because a national festival with
Yeah.
esports.
Yep.
I don't know if people appreciate the intensity of this. And this is Nigeria, the
Yeah.
biggest, one of the biggest nations in Africa.
Yeah.
And you're having esports as a national event.
Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah, it is. And it's all because all the contending forces decided to come together, Otherwise, we'd
And
have
the
been
fact that,
fighting in our different
yeah,
territories.
this is big. And the fact that you've also put a bid in for ENC. If people don't understand it, Esports Nations Cup and what is happening in France
Yeah.
at this moment, right?
Yeah.
Nigeria is going to invest in bringing ENC to Nigeria in 2028. If you don't understand, let it sink in, right? That's over 280 million invested by the Saudis into the project. The world is going to come to Paris. Can you imagine? The world.
Yeah.
It's like a World Cup happening in Nigeria.
Exactly.
People need to understand this. That it's no funny. Honestly, it's a serious thing, and I'm really
Yeah.
proud of the team in Nigeria because I know most of your guys working in the background are really excellent guys. That is
Yeah.
really good. this is a shining example that we need to promote about Nigeria, and hopefully all the other nations will learn and appreciate that if they come together, we can build something better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk about the athletes. So one of the things I've been working on is the athlete path, career
Yeah.
path in
Yeah.
esports.
Mm-hmm.
What is your thought on it, and how come? I mean, at the moment, I've not seen a proper structured path from any institution or African country yet. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we're actually doing a lot in terms of, because we know Nigeria is a developing country. So if you promote esports as just gameplay, it doesn't make sense to the parents. That's because we have to deal with that. The schools, the parents, everybody's continues to push back until we have to show them a pathway, right, from school to esports to journalism to esports management, to different career paths, in esports, to tell them, look, your kids. And recently, the U.S. Aviation Authority is now employing esports as, for how do we, what there are certain
Controllers.
controllers, yes.
Yeah, controller. I
And
saw that piece.
yeah, and the military is always looking at the esport players, the kind of reflex they have for drone operations and all kind of things. So we have to create that. It took a lot of time, education, with universities and schools. We are finishing our university esports launch. We're also for the high schools, so we can have a clear career path from high school to university esports and also the job market. So those skills are not wasted. You're not just playing games. The kid is not just wasting his time. He's acquiring real world skills that are transferable even to other industries, advertising. We're talking to Unity. I'm sure you know Unity, where they wanted to set up in Nigeria. And there's a whole lot of training modules for advertising, all kinds of skills that are transferable. So there's esports is actually a cool career path, and it's our duty to continue to educate students, and practitioners, decision makers in the education sector. Just like I told you, we had to meet with the National Universities Commission. They thought esports was just playing video games. Yeah, but by the time we, were able to do a presentation that caught their attention, they were surprised, and they were just, okay, how do you want it? You want a separate program, or you want it to be as elective? So that's the conversation. That tells you that they now understand what we are talking about. They are now receptive. We have to show them how big the industry is. I mean, yeah. So if you're talking about digital economy, esports it's key. You understand. So yeah. So that's my thinking is that it's about education. We should create that career path. Yeah,
increase education on it. I think we need to champion that.
Yeah, and that's what the theme of the presentation at the seminar I made at the African University of Science and Technology in Abuja last month, where I introduced esports. That was the theme, because they wanted to see the career path, game development, game design. Because the university is actually a STEM university, so they wanted to see, the skills, the hardcore skills. How can I get a job with these skills? That's what they wanted, not how to play game, So they wanted, and that's actually how we are driving esports in Nigeria.
That is, I think we don't talk a lot about Nigeria. We need to talk a bit more about Nigeria, because you're letting out a lot of information, and I'm really proud, because as a media organization promoting esports and game development in Africa, we want to spotlight to the world what Africa does. So talk about the community. How will esports go from the community to a scalable, financially sustainable, economy? Because at the moment, there are so many tournaments, but there are only 3 or 4 real tournaments. I know, and they all happen in Lagos. As far as we have been reporting and we have been talking, they all happen in Lagos. But I know about Port Harcourt, I know about Enugu, I know about Kano, all these other states. How can we make it viable across the states? What are we missing? Is it the education? Is it the visibility? Is it the interest?
Okay, interesting. I lead the grassroots development at the federation. So it's my duty
Oh,
to set up,
right person.
to set up esports associations. Like Nigeria has 36 states and the
Yeah.
FCT. So we are now setting up, for example, Lagos State Esports Association, Enugu State Esports Association, Rivers State Esports Association, like you mentioned, that's Port Harcourt, and across the North, Kano, Kaduna. So it's my duty to do that. So it's taking a while. We are building those communities. For example, you mentioned Port Harcourt. We are working with University of Port Harcourt. There's a whole community there, and in fact, the university has been very supportive. And we're working to set up a center at the University Sports Institute. So that's how far we've gone. In fact, there's a tournament that will start in 2 days' time. Probably I should get the guy who's leading that to contact you so you can.
Let's talk about it, please.
I'll put him in touch with you. So we are building all that, even across the north. So we are, there's a community in Kaduna that we're working on, in Kano, and in Abuja. So the scale of Nigeria is quite huge. So I've been traveling. It takes a lot of time, and in this state you have to engage with the stakeholders and also government. Government takes a while to do things, Ministry of Sports and those kind of things. So we're actually very determined, and we are building the community state by state, and we're also getting football clubs interested. For example, Rangers International Football Club of Enugu, we are working on their esports team currently. Right, we are just having the final discussions with the management team of Rangers. They are interested in the conversation, and because they're also hosting the National Sports Festival this year, we are trying to launch it at the National Sports Festival. So these are the various things we are doing regarding esports. So when it comes to building the communities, it's my duty, and that's what I get all the messages and calls. We have state chairmen helping us, but again, the biggest challenge we've had is resources, to set things. So we're taking it step by step and gradually. Nigeria is such a huge country, so
it's massive. I feel like you've got these plenty flower pots with so many beautiful flowers planted in them, and they are all like blossoming. And if not by the end of the year or next year, we're gonna have a beautiful garden of esports where everything has connected, and Nigeria is. It's a great place, a great garden to look at.
Yeah.
Well done to you and your team. I'm really impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you make of the conversation that people are saying? We're having visa issues going to Europe, America, Asia. That Africa needs its own tournament. What's your thought on that?
Absolutely, I agree. 100%. Of course, there's a whole wave going on across the globe. That everybody should sit down in your place, and of course, esports. Part of the, like I mentioned, resources. So esports players getting support from corporates and from government is a bit tricky. It doesn't really come when needed. So I think and I believe we should localize esports. For example, in West Africa, why we should be having a West Africa tournament. We don't really have to fly. We could go by road. It's cheaper. You're right. So I believe we should try and localize esports. For example, West Africa University Games. I think it's happening in Nigeria in a couple of months. So I think we should have these sports there. It's happening in Nigeria.
Even as a side show. So West African Games.
So
West African University Games.
West African University Games. Yeah. So we should be hosting our own, esports events. We are talking to corporates in that regard. Some of the biggest corporate. Okay, even within the continent. Because after setting up the esports team at the African University of Science and Technology, director of esports at Stellenbosch University in South Africa reached out and said, "Look, let's have an exhibition game." So you can imagine, So these are the kind of collaboration we should be having. Going international is fantastic if the fund is available, but let's look inwards more and see what we can achieve with what is available. Because once we develop our local ecosystem, then the world will come to us. I believe so. And the corporates will actually now see value in investing in in supporting the local ecosystem. Because sometimes esports in Africa has been outward looking for too long, and there's the local capacity has not been built. Local content isn't much, so I think we should look inwards now and see how we can collaborate within the regions and continents to see what we can do locally. It will actually pay us more if we develop our local ecosystem and events.
I think that is so true, because the next one I was going to talk about was the game development capacity of Nigeria. There are loads of studios out there producing great games, and one particular one that I was talking to yesterday was Hammer Games, Silver Row. And they've got this massive game, and they have got a tournament going on, which is great. It's like a fighting game tournament. And so I'm like, yeah, why not? Soon we'll have our own fighting game tournament in Africa, and these are the guys that we need to showcase. And because I like the fact that you are always looking inward to grow. I think because you are the grassroots chairman, that's why. Because talk about the West African University Games, I mean, exhibition games, it could be tagging along these games as we go along the National Football Festival, definitely putting on an African game. All these events that you're creating, definitely putting on an African game, and that's how we can promote the studios, can promote the games that they play, which is interesting.
Yeah, and just to add, the studios actually have an opportunity, right? And because of looking inwards, as you said. So what we call Afrexim Bank has what they call Creative African Nexus, which is CANEX, right? It's a subsidiary of Afrexim Bank, and which its objective is to invest in creative industry. So which means film, music, book publishing, food, gastronomy, and creatives, arts, all kinds of talent, for the creatives. So I reached out to Afrexim sometime early in the year, because incidentally Nigeria is hosting CANEX, which is the Creative African Nexus, this year in November, right?
That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. So I reached out to Afrexim Bank. I said, look, you guys have had this CANEX for a while. You have music, all kinds of things. But there's no esports and gaming. So what's the deal? So after back and forth, they said, okay, let's do it. Yes, we agree that's one of the vertical that is missing. So let's see. So the whole idea is it's beyond gameplay. It's not about trade, right? So IP, we're talking intellectual property. So game studios who have their games can actually come there. Afrexim CANEX event normally hosts about the last event over 80 countries, investors from Africa to the Caribbean, and it's about trade, amongst Africa, and digital trade and intellectual property. So these games can actually be able to pitch to investors and even directly to Afrexim to invest, because Afrexim invests in game, film, book publishing, and all kinds of things. So I believe that's such a platform would be an opportunity for our local game developers to showcase, their skills and what kind of games they develop for the global markets to come and, investing and pitching. So it's also part of retaining, helping them to structure the deals properly, make sure that they are not, they have the right kind of deals that they need, that gives them some sort of enough control within what they've created. So I believe that's also a platform that we are trying to leverage. If we're able to pilot this year, so it now becomes a permanent fixture on the Afrexim CANEX event as it travels around the continent. Do you understand?
I think I just need to be tapping into your activations, because your flower pots, your flower beds are beautiful. From National Sports Festival to CANEX to West African University Games to the military games to all the adaptive games. These are all interesting areas that's beyond gaming. I think 2027, the theme that Esports Africa News is gonna be advocating for is beyond gaming in Africa. I think that will be our 2027 theme. 2027 beyond gaming, because we are going to be looking beyond gaming for everything. How game development, animation, esports, everything is boosting the economy, and that will be like the year's plan, definitely. No, talk about I think one area again beyond gaming is the the wider integration of gaming and esports, because mental health, physical health,
Yeah.
old age,
Yeah.
military wise,
Yeah.
how's that panning out for Nigeria?
Yeah, it's still early days, so for Nigeria. But then we are learning from other countries in terms of, like you mentioned, um, addiction, the health aspect, psychologically. So we're
Yeah,
looking at what has happened in other countries and learning, for example, in Singapore, what they're doing with esports psychology. That's what we're looking at. So,
yeah,
and that's the good thing about, even though we are coming in late, but we are learning from the others where they've
yeah,
made mistakes and try to make amends, so we don't fall into that trap. So the health aspect, like just like I mentioned, how we got across for the schools, we had to convince the parents and the school administrators that this is not just gameplay, because we have the necessary safeguards against addiction, right? And the kind of games you mentioned, the kind of games, because those are the questions that came up. What kind of games? We don't want LGBT games. This, all manner of concerns have been raised, which we've
yeah,
addressed. So because our culture is a bit, different.
yeah.
They don't want too much fighting games for it. So yeah, we are actually learning and from others and trying to replicate what works and adopt what works for us locally with the stakeholders and decision makers in government, because we try to clear from them for whatever we do, because they've been quite supportive. So it will make sense that we actually say, hey, this is what we got. What do you think about it? Does it conform with what you think we should have in this nation? But those are genuine concerns, and it's something we are looking into as a federation, gradually as we develop the ecosystem.
No, that is absolutely brilliant. Look, I know we've been trying to meet up, and you've actually made time today to speak to me. I'm very, very grateful for the time, and thanks for the insight about everything happening in Nigeria. We are going to be talking more, because I think I've missed out on a lot of things this year. We've got 6 months to go starting from now, and we've got Nigeria on our radar for all the major events. So we'll be reporting on that. However, the local events, National Sports Festival, West African Games, Canex, all the activations, we are interested in that as well. So we'll be in touch and definitely hear from you.
Sure, definitely. I'll keep you as updated as it unfolds, definitely. So we're always in touch.
Right. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.